meeting has been duly posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have no public comments.
It's going to lead us to superintendent's report, and we're going to begin tonight. And just so everyone here knows, we're going to be jumping around in the agenda a little bit. But beginning with superintendent report, we have Mr. Lucas Johnny here from Cross Bank, who will be serving as our MA as we move forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I wanted to just give you all kind of more of an update and look at where everything is as far as the bond side of the house. Obviously, y'all got maintenance and operations, food service and debt service, so 3 budgets y'all have to adopt annually. And so I wanted to kind of just talk through some big picture side of with the debt that's been sold. What does that look like each year moving forward? What are some of the factors to consider? Obviously, creating future capacity, things like that. So I'm going to do a little head nodding over here with Caleb. And so we just started obviously more of a historical look at your tax rate the last decade, basically. You hit rewind and you talk about our pennies on the M&O side, talk about your pennies on the INS side. You can see history-wise, y'all had significant reduction since House Bill 3 back in 2019. You can see over 41% reduction when it's all said and done from a total tax rate perspective. Obviously that's exciting in so many ways. You think about homestead exemption, you think about the other benefits that have come during that process, but on the INS side, obviously that exemption, you've lost some future capacity in that respect. With less taxable value, obviously it hurts in that respect. More looking forward, but like I said, from a management tax rate, something I don't think many districts can say over 40 pennies. Most of the ones I've presented to have been in the low 30s to mid 30s, and so kind of excited that the amount of property value growth that y'all see cause for y'all to see the tax rate drop the most significant. Okay. So obviously, when we talk about when it comes to factors, property values always are going to drive most everything when it comes to the debt side of the house. It's not as if y'all got state aid coming in, everything's got for taxpayers. If they support bonds, then it's a tax base that takes care of that. And you can see here in the last several years, y'all's growth has been pretty steady. You can see, not a single year to hit backwards. Most of the time when I present this kind of chart, there's always a year or two, whether it be because of oil and gas or other factors. There's often a dip in values, but y'all have seen, especially in the last couple of years, significant jump in appreciation of values, new improvements. You can see what those trends look like from a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year perspective. Substantial, obviously, increases in y'all's taxable property values to work with, and given especially the change in the homestead exemption, obviously the last couple of years have been even more sizable in that respect. So here is your bond portfolio. So big picture, obviously, interest owed on bonds, obviously is definitely a component, and then you have what voters have authorized over time. So you can see your principal, no different than a mortgage, gets bigger and bigger each year as you're paying more and more bonds off. Interest obviously becoming less and less, but you can see from a real big picture perspective, looking at it from a 40,000 foot view, basically owe about the same amount each year. Obviously a little bit of change here in the first 3 years, but then afterwards pretty consistent in those out years. So then when I think about future capacity, I think, okay, if your debt was increasing in the future, you would need values to keep increasing in order to be able to even fund the existing payments, much less consider new debt. Having level debt positions y'all well for obviously future capital needs, whether it be growth or renovations. Obviously, it gives y'all more ability and optionality than anything else. Obviously, if values grow and maintain the tax rate where it's at, if that means y'all run a surplus, you'll have the ability to actually pay off some of the bonds early as well. And so we can start targeting the higher interest bonds, and as y'all know, here in the last couple of years, rates have went through the roof. And so the more recent bonds will probably be the most likely targets to pay off early. And obviously, they go out the furthest all the way out to 2053. Uh-oh.
That's a good slide.
Yeah, that's a good slide. Real quick. Better than mine, for sure. But really from a big picture perspective, we just wanted to give you all this other updates more than anything else, a little bit about frost, but then here it's an interest rate environment, something we see daily. And so last week I pulled this when I sent the draft presentation off to the district. And you can see from a rate perspective, it's quite interesting to look at, because you can see as you start getting further out, 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, the interest rates are actually dropping. And so that's what makes it challenging about finding investors to buy bonds right now, because the person that buys a 1-year bond versus a 7-year bond, one that's getting a 1-year bond is getting a higher interest rate than the one that buys a 7. You would think typically when you go to the bank for a CD or things along those nature, the interest rate the further out the term goes often results in a higher rate. But right now the bond market is still in what we call an inverted yield curve, and so it's created more challenges to find investors more than anything else. But really the rest of the slides, Kelly will go through this really quickly, just a little bit about us, especially a couple slides from now, just some of the what we call tombstones of logos of,
Sorry,
that's all right. So logos, keep going back and
We'll
forth.
stay here and see what happens.
But it's in your packet more for informational purposes than anything else. And so we want to see what questions, wonderings you'll have about your bonds and anything happening.
We always had I think you mentioned it, where we were able to refinance, and should that still?
It is. As y'all know, with tax exempt bonds, typically the investors look for 9-year protection or 10 years worth of protection, where they get to hold the bond before you're eligible to refinance. Back before 2017, it actually existed where schools could advance refinance the bonds well before their call date. The IRS and all that ended, it's all changed, and so we're in a position we're having more to wait than anything else in order to actually refinance it for savings, but that opportunity for all your debt is there when the time does come. Unfortunately, actually, for the more recent sales, we're still another 8 years out. Appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you. We also have 2 representatives here tonight from Hankins and Tista, Mr. Ron Rody and Scott Scarborough. I apologize. I didn't know if you guys wanted to share it all or just here so we put a name with the face.
Well, I'll give you kind of a 2-minute overview of our firm. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So our firm started back in 1965. In 1968, we got our first school district client. So today we have 52 school districts, 60 people. So none of our people work on any more than about 6 school districts a year. But we've got a good group of people that really love working with school districts. So we were excited to get the call and excited to be here tonight. And if we're fortunate enough to work with you, we'll look forward to working with you and your team and in any way we can help. Our specialty is obviously making sure you have good, reliable financial statements. And then if you spend more than $750,000 in federal funds, we're required to do a federal funds audit as well. And just making sure that you got the good internal controls around that process. So that's the core work that we do. But we love getting the telephone calls from staff saying, hey, how should we handle this? And we just love helping in any way that we can. So happy to be here tonight. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer those questions.
I was impressed with the list of districts that you serve, so
Yeah.
it's a good group to be a part of.
We have a few of those clients that we've served for 43 straight years. So it's really amazing.
Is that Denton ISD?
Denton ISD, 43 years. And the guy in our office who's done it for 43 years. So he's still there and he's still doing it, which is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Like Scott said, we really look forward to having, working with you folks and helping folks out. And my background is about 30-some years in accounting and finance. Along the way, I liked it so much I got my MBA, and we just moved out from Nebraska about a year ago, and I worked in county government there in Lancaster County. My wife actually work for the public school district. So it's a good blend. Glad to be here with Scott. Thank you, folks.
Got him out of Nebraska.
Yeah.
Great state of Texas.
I love it. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, guys, this is the portion where we're going to skip around briefly just for a moment, and we're going to go to item 7A, reorganization of board of officers. I'll turn it back over to Ms. Hales.
All right. With that, the floor is now open for nominations for board president.
Well, I would like to nominate that you get stuck with the job another year. In all seriousness, rest of the board members, I think Shelley does a wonderful job and has really elevated the board leadership in her time in the chair, and see no reason to change that. And so I would hope you would accept, but I'd like to nominate Shelley as the president.
Other nominations?
Any other nominations?
No. Any other nominations? No. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same stack. And thank you for that. I appreciate the vote of confidence from everyone, and I'm actually going to enjoy it. So, we'll now open the floor for nominations for the board vice president. And I would like to nominate Dave Johnson for vice president. It's nice to see a little bit of change. Dave has had several years on the board, brings a lot of experience with especially facilities and just everything that he can bring to the board. So if you're going to accept, I'd like to nominate. Any further nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now we have the floor open for board secretary.
We'll see it.
What's that?
I like it. I like it. Yes. Yeah. I'm happy to serve. Fantastic. Any other nominations? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Natalie. Thank you.
Got
Okay, and traditionally now, we do move seats. So, yes.
You have to sit on the right.
I was going to slide my nameplate.
Honestly, I don't think we have to, it just makes everybody feel awkward.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what you.
And make sure it's someone telling you, you'll have to.
Good, they sit over here,
Oh, it's yours?
That'll take me a second to get. So now we're going to jump back to the beginning of our agenda, and that would put us at item 4B, monthly financials. Ms. Ford, the floor is all yours.
We are going to start on page 14 with statement of positions. We're still earning a pretty good interest rate. I think we talked about this last month. I moved some of our 2023 bond money from Techstar back to the bank because they contacted me and asked if we could move that $15 million and that they would match Techstar's interest rate. So, and now it's actually higher than what Techstar is, so that worked out in our favor. And then page 15 is just kind of compares last month to this month's with interest rate. They're pretty much stay the same. Techstar went from 5.30 to 5.31. That's really the only change. Page 16 is the budget summary for the end of April. And we are still kind of slowly getting in some of our lagging property tax, but for the most part, we've received all of that. And then our expenditures, and so that's kind of where we are at the end of April. We still have a couple of months. We'll get another payment from the state also before we close out our books. Our debt service, that kind of the same as it was last month. I'll make that final payment in August. So that will show that excess of the 722 by the end of the year. And then food service, she's still sitting in a good position. She did put a bid out for some new equipment. She still did have a little bit of money she needed to spend down. So I think those are due at the beginning of June. So at the June board meeting, she's gonna come for approval for that. And then she'll get that little bit of money spent down. And we'll be good to go there. Page 18 is just our property tax. We've received 90% and 92% of our debt service. And these are the numbers before the February, where we got the new numbers from the, for the homestead exemption issue. So I have in here, there's a budget amendment to take that into account on our income side. So that'll change, so we're closer to almost 100% probably on our collections for property taxes. And that's all I have for the month.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Moving on to page 45, you will see the enrollment update for the district. You see we're taking a little dip from 1144 in April to 1138 in May. And that's nothing more than typical roller coaster ride you'll see in every district. And then we have for bond construction update, Mr. Joe Betters. I think I saw him walk in.
Yep, there he goes. It's been a busy month. So there were a couple decisions that we made this past month, or selections, I guess they were. We had found the barrage panel for our high school project. So we got those. We're in the process of procuring all that so we can wrap up some of that. There was also the final decisions made on the hardware and the door frames for all four buildings, if you will, elementary, high school, middle school. So we have those. We're trying to expedite some of these door frames, which go into our software system, which is our security systems that I think we already kind of touched on that. But so going back to the high school, I'll start with the high school. We're planning on making a pour on Building C, which is that band hall expansion back there. Guys are working on that. We're going to get that inspected. So we should get that poured Tuesday night, Tuesday evening, and then hopefully the locker room, which is Building B, we should get that Wednesday morning. Everybody pray for rain to hold off. So we should get that in. We've got our plumbing inspection all done on that. They've got everything cleaned up, so we're going to start tying steel on both of those buildings tomorrow and get that. So hopefully I can get one pour in for both of them. If not, we're going to split them up on two pours. So all that's progressing in there. The middle school, which is the gymnasium, that's progressing quite well. That'll be poured out in the morning. They're going to do our last lift up top. So once that's set, once that'll be cured up, then we'll start moving the joist down. So we're doing a lot of coordination with the district right now with the demo in both buildings, the middle school as well as the high school. So we've got some challenges that we're trying to get everything moved out of there. We have dumpsters that are being delivered tomorrow afternoon and Wednesday so that we can get the theater arts cleared out. We're going to band hall, I think, is waiting till Wednesday final so we can get some of that moved out. We're working with the nutritionist over in the middle school. We've got some of her stuff coordinated now. But we got laborers that are going to start hitting it tomorrow afternoon. I think y'all have lunch or early lunch or something. So we'll start working on that and getting all that stuff out. That cafeteria is going to be pretty aggressive once we hit that thing going. So there's going to be a lot of work over in that direction. But like I said, the middle school itself, once we pour the
last lift on the ICF, they'll start moving those joists down. So it kind of comes at a good time because there's not going to be a lot of traffic and we don't have to work on shutting stuff down. So you'll see those big joists start swinging down and a crane setting up over there. The elementary school, we're looking at trying to set a walk up so we can get the board through there. Kind of want to do it later in the evening at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'll work with Caleb and Mr. Martindale to see what works, but we'll get it cleaned up and get you guys over there. But it's progressing very well. We have all of our site work in, all of our flat work, I should say. Our drives are all in, so we have all the loops in. We have all our parking that's in. Going into the building, we're starting to stock it with sheetrock. So we've got through most of our mechanicals. So your mechanical, your electrical, and your plumbing through phase C. So we have A, B, and C that are already through. So we're going to start one siding on those 3 areas up in there as we transition around. So as we wrap up over in segments D and E, they're doing the exterior right now. So it's moving along quite well. The storm shelter roof was just poured Tuesday of last week. So those guys are getting out on it. Roofers are moving back and getting up to the high side. So you'll see all that too as well. But it's moving along quite well. I think there was a request last month for some target dates that we're looking for in there. So with the frames, the high school itself, the challenge is to get everything back and open so we can get you guys in there in August. Building A is clean. That's the classroom. As soon as we get those frames in, they're telling us right now it should be tentatively the first week of July. So those are pretty simple. We got some finishes that go in there, swing some doors. C, which is a band hall, it's very similar in that nature. It's not a lot of busy work as far as cabinetry, et cetera, and all that finishes in there. B is going to be my challenge, which is my locker rooms, getting that in there. So we're going to work on keeping that and progressing that up there. So you're looking with the cafeteria and everything. My goal is to get everything end of July to get those in there as things progress, or if we get any hiccups with the door frames, I'll keep you all abreast of what we're dealing with. The elementary school, we're looking at a late December. Looking at those frames, we have quite a few more frames over in that building. So it could ease out, but I think December is going to be a safe date in there to get that ready. And I think we'd had discussions in our OECs that we want to get it wrapped up, we want to get it punched, and then it's going to be a clean move for the district when they get over there, so there isn't any complications getting through there. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff. Board members, if you'll keep an eye on your emails, I'll send out some calendar invites so we can set that date in the first or second week of June, so that we can go tour the elementary. I think that's what we talked about.
yes,
So,
anytime I'd rather do it for July, August, it's a little warm.
you mean we won't have air conditioning in there yet?
Mark and I will push on it.
I'm very
I was gonna say, I'm not paying to heat the air conditioning the outdoors. Were you born in a barn?
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Principals reports and goals. Ladies, either one of you?
I'll go first.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so 1.5 wake-ups. Not that we're counting. So our attendance, just starting with that, it did go up this past cycle. Just, I think everyone's excited about the end of the school year, but it went up in every grade level. 7th grade is our lowest, or 8th grade, I'm sorry, which isn't too surprising, but just keeping those kids at school as best we can. I kind of did just a recap of all of our board goals for this past school year. So I'm just going to briefly talk about each one. So our social and emotional wellness goal, I've talked about lots of times, but it was reducing those behavior incidents in the common areas of the building with a positive behavior support system. We have not rolled out a 100% positive behavior support system. We do have a teacher committee that's ready to do that. It's just kind of debating whether we want Region 10's help with that or if we want to create it from scratch. It's a big process. that I've done in a previous district and some other of our teachers have. So we're kind of just trying to weigh our options, figuring out what's best for our kids. But we have done many things this school year that we think have helped in reducing those incidents. And one of those being just proactive discipline and proactive relationships with kids. So our teachers have done a really amazing job with just being more communicative with parents, handling things in the classroom. We have a decrease in office referrals from what I've heard in the past. So that's been really great. And obviously Ms. Colvin and I try to lead with example and being as communicative as possible with our parents and our community. In our PEMS data, we have 41 incidents recorded in PEMS. Now that is only our in-school suspensions and our partial day in-school suspensions. So that's the only data that I have from Ascender or our system, and that is a decrease from last year. So that's exciting. But we obviously want to just reduce that as much as possible with those positive behavior supports. So that's the goal. And throughout the year, it's just gotten better and better. So with just our data that we keep. Our innovative learning goal was for those teen leadership classes to have the 2 choice-based projects to show problem-solving skills. And we know the teen leadership classes got to do that this school year. They worked with the nursing home and got to create those projects. That was a really cool thing for them to do. They also did some career pathways and things. We're adding some things next school year to also promote that goal with having 8th graders take CTE courses in careers and tech apps and just trying to do more innovative learning type practices. Future Ready was we were wanting Gunner Middle School students to make 80% of Gunner Middle School students to make 1 year's worth of growth in those core subject areas. I pulled all of our MAP data last week and looked, and our science and math, we're in higher percentiles than we were in the fall. So that's exciting. We dipped a little bit in reading, so that's good to know because that can be our focus for next year. And so we're wanting to make sure and emphasize a big part of that is also 8th graders at the end of the school year after STAR taking MAP test. So that was hard on them just because understanding the importance of a test like that. So we have some strategies in place to kind of alleviate just test at the end of the school year, but hoping that data goes up next year. But a good area for us to focus on at the middle school. And then we had 100% of Gunner Middle School students will set and track at least one academic goal. So that was done with that MAP data, and all of our kiddos got to look at their MAP data, discuss it with their teachers. Some of the younger students in 5th and 6th grade actually had tracking sheets that they were tracking with their teachers. So it just gave a real ownership to, Ms. Rogers brought that up the other day, and so it just made me happy to hear a parent say it because her daughter came home and talked about the goal, her MAP testing and how it grew. And so just the more years we do it, the more the kids will understand the importance of it and just get excited about that growth that they're showing in those areas. Classroom news, we had an amazing fun day on Friday. I don't know if anyone know, but we were in a dunk tank. And so Ms. Colvin and I and some wonderful teachers were in a dunk tank and the kids loved it. They had to pay paid $1 for 3 throws. And we raised a little too much money. I wasn't, they just enjoyed it a little too much, but it was really fun. And we had Coach Frost got in there and it was just a great time. Teacher Appreciation Week was incredible. Our PTO just spoiled us so much and it was amazing. We did a 90s theme, so it made my 90s child heart very happy. So it was really awesome. So that's just greatly appreciated. Our students have had a busy month on field trips. Our 5th grade went to the Perot Museum today, and they had a great time. 6th grade went to Collin County Adventure Camp. 7th grade is going to Rough Riders tomorrow. And then our 8th graders went to Heyday and Urban Air. And they said the Urban Air employees went up to Mr. Farrell and said it was the most well-behaved, well-mannered group they have had ever. So I was very proud of them. They did an amazing job. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good year.
Good evening.
I am excited to share our report from the elementary campus for May. I am super excited about our attendance rate. I wasn't here with you last month to share. I was in Arkansas with my mom and taking care of her. But we have continued to improve our attendance rate. In March, when I reported it to you, overall, we were at a 92% due to a lot of illnesses. And believe it or not, we even had a couple of kids and teachers that had the flu 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, I thought we got rid of this. but I'm excited to say that our attendance rate for the month of May is 96%. So super proud of that. Our board goals, and the one that we were to report on tonight was our WIG goal, our wildly important goal. And we were working to try to surpass our 97.4% last year. We didn't meet it. We were 0.4% short, but I still am very proud knowing that we battled such an illness, many illnesses this year. So super proud of my campus and my students, and they really stepped it up the last 2 months. So we're proud of that. The other board goals that I wanted to highlight on would be our social emotional wellness. Overall, we had five projects of Tigers Helping Tigers service projects that were completed and benefited our community. Not only did our community benefit from that, but our students learned a lot about compassion and kindness, and I'm super proud of that. Our innovative learning goal was for the GES students with guidance and support from their teachers will complete one learning project to show mastery of specific content objective. Our 1st through 4th grade completed standards-based learning projects in every grade on those grade levels. The most recent one that I'd like to highlight is our 2nd grade market day. So if any of you were there to participate in that, it's a project very near and dear to my heart. And the students learned financial literacy through creating a storefront and offering products or services to sell not only to the other students on our campus, but even some teachers and principals as well. So I've got some cool things in my office that the kids created. It was very interesting. I even had a student who offered the principals discounts to come to his storefront. I'm like, you've got the marketing down, you really do. And he had a great service. So our iFuture Ready goal is 90% of GES students will exemplify growth in math and reading using maps and Amplify data from the beginning and to the end of the year by May 2024. We set our goal at 90%. It was a lofty goal, but you got to shoot for the moon, and we shot for the moon. We had 51% growth shown this year. Moving forward, we've spoken with Miss Hale and hoping to provide professional development this summer to train our teachers to build capacity in analyzing data and to create an action plan for intervention and enrichment to keep moving forward. We knew that some of these goals would be something that we would continue on, and so that will be a goal that we'll continue to work on for next year. Our mindset and building capacity in self, 100% of Gunner Elementary School students will set and track at least one academic and behavioral goal for themselves every semester to take responsibility for their own growth and learning. We had all but one grade level participate in getting that accomplished, and so about 85% of our students set goals. They looked at their data from their maps and saw where they could show growth, and we celebrate with them. That is also a goal that they'll want to continue for into next year. As far as happenings at GES, we've done a lot too with field trips and our award ceremony this morning, but as you well know, that sometimes things that happen at the elementary school are exciting. We have been walking through some grief in these last 2 weeks, and so we've experienced a huge loss in our GES family. And since I last reported to the board, our GES family would like to thank you and our community for your prayers and support during this difficult time. It's during difficult times like these that strengthen us as a school family and remind us of the importance of what we've been called to do. So thank y'all for your love and support during that. It has been a very difficult last 2 weeks, but we have grown stronger and closer because of it. So this is my last board report before I retire and move on to see what the Lord has in store for me. So thank you for the opportunity to serve the kids and staff at GES. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Barton is not here tonight. They are in the process of moving into a home that they bought. And I think they have to be out of their rental by tomorrow or Friday or something. So he asked if he could continue to move. I told him that was fine. He could be here June to give you his final report if that's okay. Moving on to items 4C or C4 and 5 kind of hand in hand. You see on page 49, it's just a list of future board meetings and what those agenda items look like right now. As we know, though, those can shift from one meeting to another. And then I apologize to you, I may have sent you a few emails or email invites this afternoon. I was scheduling board meetings through the summer and I think even into September, so I apologize. Those are there though, if you want to accept those and for planning purposes. So I'll continue to try to keep that up. Moving on to board member reports, Finance Committee, we'll cover that one first, Mr. Marner. In that, our next meeting is Wednesday of next week, May 29th. So in June, Mr. Marner will share out with us for our Finance Committee. And I think Mr. Scano will share out for Communications Commission, I think.
Can we do that now?
If you don't mind.
Yeah. So the Communications Committee met last Wednesday, the 18th. We had 8 members present, and I'll just go through this real briefly. If anybody has any questions, feel free to just stop me or our new Communications Committee Chairman, Mrs. Claunch. Oh, she left already. So anyway, we set our regular scheduled meetings. What we're going to do is we're going to meet the second Tuesday of every month, just continuously. If anybody has anything on the committee that they want to talk about, we'll meet. If not, we'll push it to the next month. So it's not something we're forced to do every single month if there's nothing to discuss. Like I said, Chairman of the Communications Committee is now Miss Sarah Claunch. We're excited about that. She does an excellent job of communicating, so that'd be great. Parent Square update. I was really excited to see this. Morgan Lorenzini and the team have moved all the students and staff that data into Parent Square. So that is moving forward very, very well. She said staff's going to start playing with Parent Square over the summer, setting up their little groups and just getting used to it over the summer. So we'll have the summer to do that. And then we're going to roll it out, or she's going to roll it out to the parents at the end of the summer during school scheduled pickup. So we're super excited about that. A couple of things that we discussed, no decisions have been made. We talked about creating suggestion boxes at each campus, just to allow, we talked about maybe teachers having a place to put in suggestions, but also maybe even kids have a place to put in suggestions. End of the year recap, we discussed the end of the year recap, things that the ISD did well and areas we can improve. We got feedback from everybody there that was in attendance. Community survey, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, the community survey, we hope to have one out this summer.
Hopefully by the end of next week.
Hopefully by the end of next week. So super excited about that. And then the teacher survey, there's actually a special committee that's working on questions right now for the teacher survey. So they'll be doing that as well. We discussed the possibility of local businesses sponsoring some of our community engagement initiatives to offset some of the costs. We talked about Tiger Times, emails, things like that. Just discussion at this point. And then finally, Net Promoter Score. We're considering implementing a Net Promoter Score as part of our ongoing community and staff surveys. So we're not just surveying once a year, but we constantly survey community and staff through our emails and stuff using the Net Promoter Score. And I think that's all. Did I miss anything?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Just if you give us 5 stars, we should.
That's right. Yeah, we can start asking for those when we roll it.
Right.
The smiley face, grumpy face.
Yeah. The smiley faces are 5 stars. We appreciate
There
it.
you go. I think I might want to read some of those comments, suggestions from the kids' campuses.
Oh, I know, right? I bet that'd be entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
So along the lines of the surveys, again, we hope to have the community survey out by the, did I say this week? I meant next week.
week.
I didn't say next week, I meant next week. But teachers, each campus will be doing their staff survey either Wednesday or Thursday. So we'll be doing that this week.
I got a question. How many people?
There's 12 and
I
then
think
8.
it's 12.
12 and then 8 were there this time.
Cool.
Which gives us a good range, because that way if some people can't make it, we still have a nice group that can meet and discuss.
A mix of staff.
Yes, sir.
Staff, parents,
Principals.
principals. Yeah.
That's great.
Item 5C, discuss team of 8 topics for 24-25. We don't, if you have those, feel free to share. If not, just start thinking about that and email that to me. As you know, team of 8 is required annually. And so I want to be trying to put that together for us. I think we have to report out on that in the April board meeting. So I would prefer we don't push it off until March.
Right.
And then have to report something that doesn't look good in April. So we'll get it done earlier in the year. So anyway, just if you have topics you'd like to discuss during that time, please email that to me.
Yeah, I didn't know your homework assignment did very well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Write that in your planner.
Yeah.
I think the most difficult thing we have is trying to get a day where everybody can be present.
Yeah.
That is a challenge.
Maybe this summer.
Dates too. Dates and topics.
Okay.
Move on to consent agenda.
The consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the April 15th, 2024 meeting, the April 25th, 2024 call meeting, the May 8th, 2024 workshop, and the May 13th, 2024 call meeting. It also contains the previous month's bills, the budget amendment, and Gunner ISD joining the Grayson County Special Education Shared Service Arrangement for the 2024-2025 school year, as well as Gunner ISD joining the Cooperative Services and Shared Services Arrangements through Region 10 Education Service Center for the 2024-2025 school year. All items are in the board book. I'm assuming everybody had a chance to kind of look over those things. Did anybody want to pull anything from the agenda, from the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to adopt consent agenda as presented?
I'm going to go through about consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Harris, you have it.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor to adopt? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we've already done 7.
We did 7A.
Yes, we did. You know, it is in here that we need to have a motion to actually have all officers approved, with myself, Shelley Gales as president, Gabe Johnson as vice president, and Natalie Bernard as secretary. Can I have a motion to, let me see if Stacy
I'll
gave
make
it
a
to me.
motion
Yes.
to have Shelley Dell serve as president for the upcoming school year, Dave Johnson serve as vice president for the upcoming school year, and Mars serve as secretary for the upcoming school year.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Moving on to item 7B, consider approval to hire Hankins Eastup as the school auditor for 23-24 school year. I'm sorry, I just.
No, you're fantastic.
I'll be
You
quiet
got it.
now.
No. Okay, as Mr. Martindale was saying, the next item is to consider approval of hiring Hankins Eastup as the school auditor for 2023-2024. And your information was also in the board packet for everyone to look over, as well as a nice introduction they had this evening. With that, is there a motion to approve hiring Hankins Eastup as the school auditor for 2023-2024? Nope, I'm sorry, it should be 2024.
No, I clarified that. And I just have a
Okay.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the fee, for if we transition, is it comparable to our previous auditor? Is it the same fee or?
We talked about it in our budget workshop, and I believe it was, it's an increase of, I want to say,
Is it-
$10,000.
Okay. And Stacy clarified that for me.
Yeah.
They'll audit.
Yes, that does make
They audit
sense.
cost, right?
Yes, yeah. Having said that, 2023-2024 school year.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Maybe we discuss it, we can make a motion.
Sure.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, Lisa asked a question I had, which was, and I really was talking about it in the budget workshop, I just didn't remember the second. So thank you for the clarification. And thank you for asking.
Thanks for asking.
Thank you for
I
asking.
apologize for not remembering.
I mean, there's a lot of
It was
details.
the reason that-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay. Any other questions, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
And item C is to consider approval to enter into the agreement with CRG Mapping for the amount of $11,229 for the mapping of all 3 campuses. Information was in here as well.
Yes, starting on page 113 through 115, I believe. This would be for 911 services. Is that correct, Mr. Bell?
All of the above.
Yes. That amount would be coming out of our 2016 bond money. And we still have some of that money as well.
Only question I had was, did you need the board, is it because it's over a certain dollar amount, is it?
Board money.
Bond
I mean, bond money, yes.
Okay, gotcha, okay. And,
I just had a question. Does it include, because I noticed on the bid it said 3 campuses, does it include the new elementary school?
No, this will be done immediately, and then they have a yearly subscription, they come back out and we can add, we'll have a fee for the new campus the following summer.
Okay.
And then they, like I said, we have a per campus update, so we have new renovations, room changes, walls, take down walls, they'll come out, interior, exterior, everything changes, and update the maps accordingly.
So
Your questions up.
how much is the subscription? You said there's a yearly subscription for
No,
it?
I mean, I think
Or is that-
it's in the packet. It was
Okay.
about, I don't know, 12 or 14 maybe per campus, if they're gonna come out and update anything.
Okay,
That's,
so this is an annual fee?
if we're going to do an update.
Okay.
There's an implementation.
560.
Oh, 560, it was 600 total.
Okay, yes, okay, I did see that, okay.
And I assume there's not a macro for the middle school because it'll be captured with the high school since they're right there together.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve entering into agreement with CRG Mapping for the amount of $11,229 for the mapping of all 3 campuses? Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries as well. And item D is to consider the approval for ZEG Security to complete external door hardware upgrades throughout the district for $495,739 to be paid out of the 2021 bond funds and a safety grant.
Go ahead, Mr. Bell.
So we have started, I guess last year we passed, you guys allowed us to update 4 doors with access control at each campus. We've then added access control to every door in the district. This upgrade right here will address every single exterior door in the district, new mullions, new closures, new exit devices with electronic device on one of the 2 doors so that they can be electronically opened with the access control. And then there's a replacement of, I think 4 doors. There may be a 5th one in there because after our last meeting, Dave and Ron went back out to the campus, and I believe Kate added another one just based on inspection of the door. And then we're going to address a handful of interior doors that don't have mullions that are, so for instance, when you walk into high school, we have glass doors going to each of those 2 wings that are still vertical rods. So we're going to address those, again, remove mullions, exit devices, and closures, so that our buildings will have the ability to completely secure on all fronts. All vertical rods will be gone, unless, and again, with construction, it's entirely possible, unless something was missed. This ought to be for 10 years. That's the warranty on most of these parts. Some of them have a lifetime. The lifetime we have to touch exterior doors right now for parts and upgrades. We have about a $384,000 safety, Cycle 1 safety grant that's going to pay for the bulk of this. The remaining 112-ish will come out of the $200-ish thousand interest we made from the bond this last month. We have, remember, on our bond, we have the 1.7 other district improvements. Interest is good right now, so we're not touching the 1.7 yet. We'll hopefully have that remaining after all the projects are finished. We can decide what we'll do with that.
You're going to scan cards for all those doors?
So our primary choice is going to be cell phones, Bluetooth, and then in the case of, there will be personnel who have cards. Cards will be available, so we have a handful of elementary personnel that wear a dress and a lanyard, no pockets. They're not carrying their phone around, and so they'll have a card, scan in, scan out. We will discuss, first card's free, second card $10, every card after that $20 a piece to replace it, just to help downtime and replacement for each of those subsequent cards. I'm sure there'll be things that we'll have to work out as we go, but that's the tentative plan right now. Ought to all be online while we start school next year. Ought. It's a lot of doors, a lot of hardware. We're directed for the manufacturer. There's a caveat in there. Here's the caveat for the board. This is pending the final certification for competitive pricing. Kay is a TIPS approved vendor. All of her stuff meets their pricing, but because of the timing of this, I didn't have the ability to get that document to you. So if they come back and these prices are not falling in the agreed range, then she's going to have to adjust her prices. So that's a do not exceed number.
Is there a motion to approve Zed Security to complete external door hardware upgrades throughout the district for $495,739, not to exceed $495,739, to be paid out of 2021 bond funds and the safety grant?
Motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And item E is consider approving the 2024-2025 school year to the last year that Gunner ISD serves as the fiscal agent for the Grayson County Special Education SSA. So I'm understanding that means they would not necessarily have to move their physical location, but we would just no longer be the fiscal agents.
That is correct. I've offered to the Grayson County Board that physically they could remain here in our facilities. Would just be taking on the responsibilities of being the fiscal agent. So as I mentioned to you guys previously, 2 districts discussed that they might take on that responsibility. I haven't heard from either one of them officially, but I talked to Lacey and Kevin Wilson, District Board President for the co-op, and they gave us our blessings for this agenda item. One, mainly based off the fact that we've been the fiscal agent for 30 plus years, and it's just time to pass the baton. The other is that Stacy and Heidi have been processing all their paperwork, doing all their HR paperwork. Well, the size of the co-op has reached, they have as many, if not more employees than we have now. So the majority of Stacy and Heidi's HR paperwork time is geared towards the co-op. And so take that off their plate would be good for their mental health and mine. So, several reasons there, but the districts that are looking at taking it on are smaller districts, and districts our size are maybe a little bit bigger, while realizing at some point in time we'll be exiting anyway. So in a matter of years, depending on the speed of growth, we will be exiting this point to pick it up anyway. So pick it up now so we can guide and direct you. We've got 30 years experience, so.
Is there an advantage? Was there an advantage to us of being a fiscal agent?
There may have been mismarks back 30 years ago when we picked it up, or 30 plus years ago when we picked it up. There's none now. It's just being good citizens. That was one other piece I was going to add to that. I don't remember now. Our agreement requires that we get notification of this change within a year in advance. So that's why.
Right.
Yes. Well, yeah, okay, this is written correctly, that 24, 25 would be our last year.
Yes.
So, yes, so that's why we're doing this now. So there's a year to transition.
Is there a motion to approve 2024-2025 school year to be the last year that Gunner ISD serves as the fiscal agent for the Grayson County Special Education SSA?
I'd like to move that 2024-2025 will be the last year of the special ed SSA.
I would like to second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Unless you guys have a whole session,
Just the,
go to the higher level.
okay, sounds good to me.
You're going to say something?
Oh. So the last item on our agenda is to consider an act on the superintendent's recommendation regarding employment and contract status for Mandy Buros as the new high school counselor for 2024-2025 school year. Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to hire Mandy Buros as the high school counselor, or as high school counselor, not the, but a high school counselor for 2024-2025 school year?
I'll make a motion to hire May Buros as the new high school counselor. Next one.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And seeing as there is no further business, we stand adjourned at 6:58.
That's what, yeah.